All right. I'm excited for this one. First and foremost, because it comes from a listener. Her name's Olivia. She's from Florida.
Ooh.
So thank you, Olivia.
Shout
I actually have questions for this story. Tried looking through our Instagram for Olivia's, and we have a few. And I couldn't find one that was posting pictures in Florida. So if you're listening, send us a DM because I have some follow-up questions.
Cool.
Which I assume you folks would ask as well as I go along. But the story, it sounds like it happened a while ago, has to do with her cousin and her grandma. At the time, her cousin was 2 or 3 years old, and we'll call her Emma in this story. So Emma, young girl, young girl, her mom is at a yard sale, and she sees this cute kind of vintage changing table. They need one. They're looking for one. She thinks this is perfect, picks it up, takes it home. This changing table, like I said, it's vintage. It's old. It looks kind of dated, but that's the only kind of weird thing that they notice. Not much longer after this, while Grandma is watching Emma, she can hear Emma playing in the room or one of the other rooms behind her. And she thinks she hears Emma talking, which is not super uncommon for kids, especially if they're by themselves, you know?
Yeah.
But it goes on long enough where the grandma starts to pay attention. And Emma sounds like she has imaginary friends.
Friends.
Because she starts talking to them and calling them by name. One thing that was interesting is that the names that she was saying, which wasn't written in the submission, these names sounded old. Now, I don't know how old, like Josephine old or like Blanche. I don't know. What are old names? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
Agatha,
Yeah.
Gretel,
Agnes.
Dude, I was thinking biblical old. Like
like
Zedekiah.
Zedekiah.
Agamemnon.
Mahanra Koryankamur.
Yeah. Okay, shut up. Yeah, but they're old names, which is interesting because how could a 2 or 3 year old know that? But the grandma writes it off as maybe she's heard those names in a movie or TV show and gives her a little slack, you know. So she continues to listen and she's still having these conversations with her imaginary friends. She knows, she looks, nobody's there with her. So she takes note of that. Nothing else transpires that day. Later on in the week, Grandma's with Emma again. Driving in the car, Emma in the back seat starts talking again.
Huh.
And Grandma says, "Excuse me, honey, what was that?" And Emma says, "That's where my friends live." And Grandma looks out the window and they're passing a cemetery.
Nope.
This is where Grandma starts to really question what's going on.
Oh, that's nice.
Tell them we said hi. In fact, I don't know if it was this day or later that week, but they stop at the cemetery. Like, this is happening frequently enough where Grandma wants to find something, have some type of closure, maybe. I don't know. But her and Emma go to the graveyard. And as Emma gets out of the car, she beelines it straight down the graveyard and tells Grandma, "Come." They run up to a headstone and Grandma's catching up. And as she walks up to the headstone, she gets closer and she could see that the name on the headstone is the same name that Emma said.
Agamemnon is buried here.
This happens 2 more times.
Ah, hell.
Emma goes to 2 other gravestones, and they are the exact same names that she mentioned days earlier. After this event, Grandma still doesn't say anything to her daughter, Emma's mom, because at this point, nothing terrible has happened. Like, if these were actual spirits, you know, they haven't done anything to them. They've been quiet, you know. for a few more days.
Oh, shit.
A few days after they visited the cemetery, Grandma gets sick. At the time, Olivia wrote that she was getting treatments for hepatitis, something like that. But Grandma gets really sick, so she's resting a lot at home. She's not watching Emma as much. But she's just trying to take care of herself, trying to recover from this. She wakes up one night to her husband tapping on her.
Is her husband alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Her husband is alive.
Okay.
And she's exhausted. And she's trying to knock him off. She looks at the clock, it's 5 a.m. So it's dawn. Sun's not quite out yet, but the darkest part of the night is over. But he's tapping on her and she's saying, leave me alone, you know? This tapping starts to get more vigorous to the point where she starts to roll over because she's trying to tell him to quit it when her sheets get ripped off of her. So she sits up and she's trying to gather herself, and her husband's nowhere to be found. Not in the room with her. What she does notice is there is her dresser, and it's blocking her bedroom door.
Yikes.
Hell no.
That's
Big
menacing,
yikes.
bro.
Yeah, it's so menacing. When she realizes that and she's coming more to her senses and she's waking up, she starts to hear laughing, giggling, sounds thumping throughout the room, and overall just this dark feeling, really claustrophobic, as if things are closing in on you. So understandably, she starts to freak out. She starts calling for her husband, and he's trying to open the door, and he can open it a little bit, but the dresser is blocking his way. So she runs, she hurries to the dresser to try and move it out of the way so he can get in or she out. She's just desperate for help. As she's doing that, these sounds are getting louder, and she makes the mistake of looking behind her. And when she does, she says she sees 3 children standing outside her window, dressed in early 19th century clothing. So she's shaking the dresser. Grandpa, they're both not having any success getting through this door. So she is panicking and she tells her husband, call Emma right now. He doesn't see any relation to this. She hasn't said a word about this to anybody.
He's like, no, I'm trying to get you out this room.
Yeah, exactly. But after she is just begging him to call her daughter so she can talk to Emma, he begrudgingly obliges and calls. It's 5 a.m. still, so the daughter is not awake. So she's all confused, saying, "What's the matter? Is something wrong? Are you guys okay?" She can hear Grandma on the other side of the phone. Where's Emma? Where's Emma? And she says, Emma's sleeping. She said, get Emma right now. And she doesn't understand either, but she goes to Emma's room, and Emma's awake. The daughter is talking to Grandma, and Grandma says, I need to talk to Emma. I need to ask her about her friends. And Mom is so confused, looks at Emma and says, Grandma's talking about your friends. And Emma replies, yeah, they're at Grandma's house right now. So Grandma, panicking, she says, you need to tell your friends to leave. Leave me alone. Crying at this point. Emma then lays back down on her bed and starts to mumble something. Daughter can't make out what she's mumbling. And Emma falls right to sleep. And as she falls asleep, she can hear over the phone that her mother, Grandma, starting to calm down. She can hear Grandpa consoling her. At that point, all the noises, the thumping, the laughing, and the children standing out of the window all start to disappear. After that, they got rid of the changing table, not exactly knowing if that would solve it, but it seemed to have, because nothing else had happened after that. So this just reminded me a little bit of the wardrobe.
Yeah, from one of our previous eps.
Bro, what did she mumble?
I don't know.
Some bars, dude.
Yeah. She's like, I got bagel bites. Come over.
Yeah. The Totinos are in the oven.
Yeah. No, but when you're dealing with children, we've mentioned this before, but children and animals, especially when they're at that age, 2 or 3, like there's just a level of innocence where, what else do you do? I feel like you have to kind of.
There's most likely something causing that. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Whether it's exactly what they're experiencing or I don't know. But if a 2-year-old, 3-year-old talks to me like that, I'm definitely taking note.
Yeah.
You need to tell your imaginary friends that there's actually another little girl next door that they can go hang out with.
Yeah.
Go hunt the Johnsons down the road. They assholes.
But
Bro, yeah. We do need to get a hold of her.
my favorite part of that story is when she says to her grandma in the car, that's where my friends live.
Oh, gosh.
She looks out and it's the graveyard. And the fact that she walks straight to the tombstones of her friends, their names.
Not okay.
Dude, that's creepy. Is that you tonight?
That is me. You have any explanations behind that?
No.
One thing I thought of, do you?
I was going to say no, but I was going to ask what your questions were that you wanted answered from her.
Just stuff about, stuff what did she mumble?
What were their
What
names?
were the children's names?
Okay.
So not super pertinent, but
Okay. I still don't have an explanation for that, but it seems like the changing table may have been
A catalyst in that.
yeah, that's what it seems like.
I think, and this is just because this is what we grew up with, but one of the famous questions in religion is, where do we come from? The Mormons believe that when you die, you go on as a spirit. That's the first step after you die. You existed as that same spirit before you were born, but then you pass through this, we call it the veil of forgetfulness, and you get a physical body, you come here, and basically you go through life with a fresh, clean slate, build your own experiences, gain your own knowledge, whatever.
It's a choose your own adventure.
Yeah. But I don't know if I believe this. It's just an interesting side note, but people have said, but that veil that is birth and that veil that is death, when people are close to that, it's almost like the veil kind of parts a little bit, as they say, and they start to experience or see or hear things from the other side. You know. So because children so young, they're not that far from coming through that veil. If we're going with this example or belief, that's just an interesting note that they're close to these spirits or things on the other side of that veil.
I've definitely heard that example outside of the church or whatever. But yeah, the veil between the living and the dead seems to be thinner for some people. For some people, it sticks with them their whole life. But for most, it's generally when they're closer to the beginning or the end of their life.
And the veil starts to part for them to go through.
Yeah, and I feel like there's enough examples, accounts, or anecdotal, accounts of kids and their veil being thinner. That
Or
to
even
that to me, I'll say it. I fully believe it.
even people with NDEs, near-death experiences.
Oh, right, yeah.
You hear, people have written books about their experience.
Right.
Have you heard about regressive hypnotherapy?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm going to maim this. I believe it was a Mysterious Universe podcast.
I think I've listened to this one, actually.
So I apologize because I have... this is all just from memory right now. But basically, there was a therapist who would do regressive therapy with people. So a lot of our pain and suffering in life is like stuff that happened to us as children, right? So if you can go back to those and heal that, you can heal your inner child, you heal your adult. So he was doing that, and he started pushing. He got really, I think he was like a leading specialist in this, and he just started pushing it further and further until they were like babies. And then he started pushing it further and further until all of a sudden he realized they were in a past life. I don't know why I brought this up. I'm kind of tripping right now. I don't know why I brought this up, but he basically started doing this. Oh, near-death experiences. He started doing this with so many people, pushing them past their current life. And all of these patients would describe not only their life, their early life, past lives, but the period in between lives. And the things that they were describing were the same. And a lot of them were like near-death experiences, just about stages before we came here, things like that. I don't know. Look into it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, if anything, it's a fascinating anecdote because people swear by this. People in their right frame of mind. There's crazy people too. But
yeah, I wanted to say I fully believe that it's possible, this experience, but I don't fully believe every experience. Mm-hmm. That's right. What I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Charles believes everything.
I believe it all, baby. No. But dude, that's wild. Yeah. And to think that it could be triggered by an object freaks me the F out.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy thinking about that because what if you unknowingly get something like that?
Bro, I go antiquing sometimes.
I never go antiquing, bro. If it doesn't have a history on that shit, I'm not buying it.
Sean's out, baby.
Where was it made? In China? I don't want Corona.
Oh, gosh.